Cora. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy. Hail our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry for banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in severe of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us. And after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Gerty MacDowell was gazing out towards the distant sea. And while she gazed, her heart went pit-pat, and she felt the warm flush, a danger signal always with Gerty, surging and flaming in her cheeks on account of the gentleman opposite her, looking, a hand in his pocket. Why, yes, it was her he was looking at. And there was meaning in his look. His eyes burned into her as though they would search her through and read her very soul. Wonderful eyes they were. Superbly expressive, but could you trust them? She could see at once by his dark eyes and his pale, intellectual face that he was a foreigner. The image of the photo she had of Martin Harvey, the matinee idol, only for the moustache, which she preferred, but she could not see whether he had an aquiline nose or slightly retroussé from where he was sitting. He was deep in mourning. She could see that, and the story of the haunting sorrows written on his face. And she'd have given worlds to know what it was. He was looking up so intently, so still, he saw her kick a ball, and perhaps he could see the bright steel buckles of her shoes. If she swung them like, thoughtfully with the toes down. And she was glad that she had thought to put on the transparent stockings. Here was that of which she had so often dreamed. It was he who mattered, and there was joy in her face because she wanted him. And because she instinctively felt that he was like no one else. The very heart of the girl woman went out to him, her dream husband, because she knew on the instant it was him. If he had suffered more sinned against than sinning, even if he had himself been a sinner, a wicked man, she cared not. Even if he was a Protestant or a Methodist, she could convert him easily if he truly loved her. There were wounds that wanted healing with heart balm. She was a womanly woman, not like the other flighty girls, unfeminine. He had known those cyclists showing up what they hadn't got. And she just yearned to know all, to forgive all. If she could make him fall in love with her, make him forget the memory of the past. Then mayhap he would embrace her gently, like a real man, crushing her soft body to him, and love her, his ownest girlie, for herself alone. It was getting darker, but he could see, and he was looking all the time, and there he was with his hand in his pocket, with his eyes intent and bright and widening. Oh, look, the fireworks! It's the bizarre fireworks! But she didn't move. The eyes that were fastened upon her set her pulse tingling. She looked at him a moment, meeting his glance, and a light broke upon her. White-hot passion was in that face, passion as silent as the grave. And it made her his. At last they were left alone without the others to pry and pass remarks. And she knew that he could be trusted into the death. Steadfast. A sterling man, a man of inflexible honor to his fingertips. His hands and face were working, and a tremor went over her. And she leaned back far to look up where the fireworks were, and she caught her knee in her hand so that as not to fall back, looking up, and there was no one to see, only him and her. And when she revealed all her graceful, beautifully shaped legs like that, supplely soft and delicately rounded, and she seemed to hear the panting of his heart, his hoarse breathing, because she knew about the passion of men like that. Hot-hearted. Because Bertha Supple had told her once in dead secret and made her swear that she'd never about the gentleman lodger that was staying with them out in the congested districts board, and had pictures cut out of the papers of those skirt dances and high kickers, and she said he used to do something not very nice, which you could sometimes think about in bed. Oh, but this was altogether different. Different from a thing like that, because there was all the difference, because she could almost feel him draw her face to him, and the first hot, quick touch of his handsome lips. And now she leaned back ever so far to see the fireworks, and something queer was flying about through the air, softly to and fro, and she saw a long Roman candle going up, over the trees, up, and in the tense hush they were all breathless with excitement as it went higher and higher, and she had to lean back more and more to look up after it. Oh, high, almost out of sight. Their face suffused with a divine and entrancing blush from a straining back, and he could see her other things too. Main silk knickers, the fabric that caresses the skin, better than those with petticoats, the green 4 and 11, on account of being white, and she let him, and she saw that he saw, and then it went up so high, and it went up out of sight a moment, and she was trembling in every limb from being bent so far back, and he had a full view up above her knee. No one, not ever on the swing or wading. She wasn't ashamed, and he wasn't either, to look in that immodest way like that, because he couldn't resist the sight of the wondrous revealment half offered, like those skirt dances, behaving so modest before a gentleman looking. And he kept on looking, and she would fain have cried to him chokingly, and held out her snowy slender arms for him to come, to feel his lips laid on her white brow, the cry of a young girl's love, strength, little cry, wrung from her, that cry that is wrung from the ages. And then a rocket sprang and bang, struck blind, and and then the Roman candle burst, and it was like a sigh of and everyone cried, in raptures, and it gushed out of it a stream of rain gold half threads, and they shed, and they were all greeny dewy stars falling with gold. Oh, so lively, oh, so soft, sweet soft. And then all melted away dewily in the grey air, and all was silent. And she glanced at him as she bent forward quickly. A pathetic little glance of piteous protest, of shy reproach, under which he coloured like a girl. He was leaning back against the rock with a bowed head before those young guileless eyes and that hand in his pocket. What a brute he'd been. At it again? A fair, unsullied soul had called to him. Wretch that he was, how had he answered? And what a cad he had been. He of all men.
Said he used to do something not very nice, which you could sometimes think about in bed. Oh, but this was altogether different. Different come from a thing like that, because there was all the difference, because she could almost feel him draw her face to him, and the first hot, quick touch of his handsome lips. And now she leaned back ever so far to see the fireworks, and something queer was flying about through the air, softly to and fro, and she saw a long Roman candle going up, over the trees, up, and in the tense hush they were all breathless with excitement as it went higher and higher, and she had to lean back more and more to look up after it. Oh, high, almost out of sight. Their face suffused with a divine and entrancing blush from a straining back, and he could see her other things too.